Hi, this is Randy Randall of No Age and host of the podcast Hyphenate with Randy Randall. I want to welcome our newest sponsor of the show, DistroKid. DistroKid helps musicians get their music on all the major streaming platforms, and artists keep 100% of their royalties. Hyphenate listeners get 30% off at distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate. Again, that's distrokid.com/VIP/HYPHENATE. Go get your music streaming everywhere now.
Not like trying out for the toothpaste commercial, but if there's if something else comes up, I will drop everything I'm doing to do so, because it was very fun.
What's happening? Welcome to Hyphenate with Randy Randall. That's me. Today is Thursday, August 22nd, and on today's show, I have Timothy Showalter, or Tim, as his buddies call him, from the band Strand of Oaks. Tim is awesome, and we were introduced by mutual friends, and they said you guys should talk, because he is a Disney nerd as well as a music nerd and a prolific singer-songwriter. And I said, hey, this sounds like somebody I want to talk to, so here it is. We got some talking done. Hope everybody's having a good summer. Hope back to school is going well. If you are in the position of going back to school, whether that means you are a teacher, welcome back to school. Or if you are parents sending kids back, or if you yourself are a student and you are going back to school. I hope this transition has worked somehow. The concept of summer as you age, it changes. I think I remember early on, right out of college, really that feeling of like, oh, there's no summer breaks anymore. You just like work through college, or work through summer. You just jobs are year round now. There's no longer these big breaks. But then I also quickly became a substitute teacher. And so then there was breaks. I did get summers off. I thought that was fun. I had a long-term assignment and it was cool. Like the teaching setup that I had was like, you could get all your money every month, or you could divide it up equally over 12 months. So your checks would be a little bit, less every month, but then they would come through the summer as well. So you basically got, 2 months off, but you were still getting paid. So that seemed like a good deal to me at the time, at least. It was a short-lived career, but that, I've always, and then touring, became another thing. Then we seemed to always be touring during summer, because that sort of seemed to be when people wanted to go out to see shows and weather was decent and people were around. And so, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've always kind of had this summer break mentality still instilled in me. So it does feel like, oh, the seasons are changing. And also, I guess just growing up and living in Southern California, there's no real big seasonal demarcations or subtle changes. There's the kind of the smell of the air and slight drop in temperature, but nothing like, most of the world experiences. So I think I would be overly dramatic, or just, you could feel the transitions and the times when it's like, oh, okay, now it's back to school. It's different. But it's still, 90 degrees outside. You're still sweating. It'll be that way probably till, Thanksgiving. But I don't know. Yeah, I always felt like it was a big deal going back to school. And now it's fun being a parent and sending kids back to school. We got to do some back to school shopping. We, kids signed up for soccer, teams, and had to go, level up all the gear they need, the shin guards, the cleats, the socks and whatnot. And then just, that general feeling. I was like, oh, I remember this. I remember going back to school. It's fun. You get a cool pair of shoes that'll last hopefully more than a few months, but it's fun. It's that fun sort of transitionary sort of period. So that's what we're going through. I hope you're going through good, fun times. If you're not, I'm sorry. I hope things will get better. It's that time of transition. Definitely always feels like, okay, this is when I thought I had it all figured out. Now it's today, or now it's coming up this next thing. Like, wait, how did that happen? But yeah, it can always feel a little bit rough. But I hope you were doing okay. Hang in there. Please reach out, halftinethalftime@gmail.com, or you can find me on the Instagrams at Randy S. Randall. It's pretty much all I post is about this show anymore. But find me. Tell me if you like the show. Tell me if you're listening to the show. Tell me if you want to be on the show. Tell me if you like our sponsor, DistroKid. It's distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate. Go get your music up there. I know in the last couple half times ago, Farley and I were talking about putting up songs. It's definitely on my to-do list. I think it'd be super fun to go through the archives and start putting up stuff on all the streamers just to get it up and out there, so it's not just living on a hard drive that eventually will decay and stop working. Put on someone else's hard drive. Put it up on a server. DistroKid. Quit having stuff on your hard drive. Put on someone else's hard drive. That should be their new slogan. Maybe I could pitch that in the next ad. All right. Well, I am happy. I am. That's just, yeah. It's the end of that statement. I'm happy. Sure. I hope you're happy. And I'm also proud to present my conversation with Timothy Showalter, Strand of Oaks. He is going to be on tour this September in Europe. If you are hanging out in the Netherlands, Belgium, Amsterdam, Groningen, Utrecht, London. I've been to Utrecht. That's fun. London and Brussels. He's got a whole cool kind of, Dutch, Belgian, UK run going there. I support that. That sounds like a fun way to go. I've been there and had a lot of fun shows in those regions. Go see him. Go see Strand of Oaks. He's a lot of fun. He puts on a great show. And here it is, my conversation with Tim. Tim Showalter from Strand of Oaks. How you doing? Welcome to Hyphenate.
Doing great, Randy. I live in Austin, Texas, and I think I got a little bit of sunstroke this morning doing some yard work, but feels great. I love it. I took I sat down, I get up stupidly early, and I sat down on my couch and I just kind of fell asleep sitting up. And then my wife was like, you shouldn't be that outside that long. So worth it though. I love it.
I hope you're doing okay. What do you do?
Feeling great.
You drink some water? Yeah.
Yeah, I got some water, some emergency, back on track.
Okay. All right. Awesome, man. Well, it's great. Well, thanks for jumping on. So you really fit the Hyphenate profile. I mean, you're a singer, songwriter, as well as an actor. Is that right? Tell me about that process.
I kind of stumbled into acting by a wonderful, miraculous dinner. I had dinner with Elgin James, who co-created the show Mayans MC a few years ago, and he had put Strand of Oaks songs into the show, and we had this really amazing dinner. And then 2 days later, I got an email that was like, "You are now cast in the television show Mayans." And I know. So I mean, I know, as we both know, it's like at this point, I kind of know the music world. I know how touring works. I know how making records works, all that, but I had no idea how acting worked. Even details things. The only person I knew on the show was the creator. And you can't quite text your buddy and be like, where do I go to check in? How do I get to? So I just it was, one of the best experiences of my life. And I think it was a huge growing process for many reasons, but I hadn't been nervous in a long time. And it brought a new energy to my life to be I don't know how this works. I felt like I was when we were younger starting shows, and how do monitors work, and how does a sound check work. And it was, it was a fantastic experience though.
How fun. That's great. Yeah. I mean, the creator of a show is a good person to know, I guess. If you had to know one person on a set, that's the person you want to know.
Yeah.
And somebody will get you a chair and a cup of coffee pretty quick.
Everybody was so cool on set. I mean, it was just, I don't know if I have talent as an actor. I would like to do more of it, but my philosophy was, I was talking to my dad actually before I went to the first day on set, and I told him I was nervous, and my dad gave me the best advice. He was like, stay out of the way and be positive. And I was like, yep,
that's great.
Sounds good.
Words to live by. Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what I did.
Yeah. That's amazing. So tell me, let's go back a little bit further. Tell me a little bit about your story. Where did you grow up and how'd you first come to music?
I grew up in Goshen, Indiana, which is north, kind of close to Michigan. The closest thing would have been Notre Dame.
Okay.
That was our marker for like we're an hour away from Notre Dame, but it was a beautiful place to grow up, and I think for many reasons, creatively it helped because there was no scene. So there was no like thing for me to attach to. So I just kind of started building my own universe in my mom's sewing room in the basement, and I didn't have a band or people to like play music with. So I just started kind of making records as soon as I had like a tape machine. My dad's thing in his stereo. I just started like recording songs and I was like 13, and then just kind of built this tower that is known as Strand of Oaks, which is sometimes lonely. It's sometimes filled with people. And however many years later, I think I named my band Strand of Oaks in 2001. So it's been a long time, almost 25 years of it feels like 15 lives at this point. But yeah, just made records and started like a lot of bands. Just like I moved to Pennsylvania, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and Philadelphia area when I was like 18, and just kind of started opening for every single band that came to the DIY space. Just
Hmm.
every band, I'd just be like, I never got paid. I just kept opening. And that was during the time when K Records was really popping. Like uh man, the Microphones and a lot of those bands from that era. But we then opened for Kimya Dawson, who was in the Moldy Peaches and just a like seminal songwriter. I love her. And she for some reason decided to take us on tour.
Wow.
So we went on tour in like 2003 or 4 to England and across America. But yeah, I'm trying to think of my biography here. It's been well, then like in my 20s, when most bands were continuing the hyphenated theme, when most bands are like getting their stuff going in their 20s, I was a second grade school teacher. So I
Oh,
taught
wow.
school and loved it. And I did that up until I realized there was this conflict of loving teaching and wanting to be in a band. And I had put out 2 records while I was still teaching that unbeknownst to me, or what, I didn't do much. They just kind of caught some attention, and tours started coming in. So I had to make a really hard decision to become touring or whatever I've been doing now for the past, I don't know, 12 years, 13 years of more. But just, yeah, I had to make the jump into the music world. And then it took like another 5 years for someone to realize that I was like, I always say, like, when people are like, I'm going to become a full-time musician, people don't quite, it's not like the world notices. Like it's not like the signal flare is seen from the dark ocean. So I had to put a lot of work and be very, very poor for a few years there. But then, God, my timeline here. Oh, then I put out 10 years ago, I put out a record called Heal that kind of helped me just kind of become like a band. I could tour and go around the world and stuff. So that was a big deal. But yeah, have you noticed this in your life? Like you as you live, you add layers, and each new layer you add, it kind of takes away memory. Like I moved 5 years ago, and one more big life move kind of pushed out the hard drive capacity for other memories.
I think that's just getting old. I think the older
Yeah, it's definitely getting old.
the past starts to dim. They turn the
Exactly.
light down a little bit. Yeah. So you say so you're saying the DIY shows in Wilkes-Barre and in Pennsylvania, Philly area, driving in, and then yeah, school teaching. What was it a question that you had shows to do, like there was tours lining up for another year, and so it was like, okay, I'm not gonna sign up for another year of teaching and gonna just kind of throw caution to the wind. and take the tour on, or was there a particular kind of like with that decision inflection? I'm always curious how that sort of works. Like, at what point, do you take a step into the void and find, you know, footing out there, from one switch to another?
I think okay, now I'm booting up the hard drive. I had taught, and then my wife and I got married in 2009, and she was going to go to graduate school in Philadelphia. So we were going to move there anyways. And that's when I decided to no longer teach full time.
Got it.
And
You were moving
so
out of the
then,
district, and it was an easy thing. Like, okay, I'm going to put more time,
yeah,
focus on this.
yeah. And I love my school that I taught at. It was a beautiful private school and great community and kids. And so yeah, I just kind of decided that. And then I was like, I don't remember when it happened, but I put out a record called Pope Killdragon, and I like woke up in the morning, and I think I was teaching then, and it had gotten like an incredible review on Pitchfork or something.
Sure.
And we didn't have records pressed. I don't know how it was found, but that was like a good motivating factor, because suddenly we had like a few tours lined up. But yeah, that was, God, I thought 10 years was a long anniversary, but that Pope Killdragon's like 15 years old now. Just insane. Time.
Time.
Time is wild.
It does that, right? It just keeps going.
Yeah.
That's fun. So teaching, and then just putting records out in a good review, and that sort of sparks. That was the era of the Pitchfork review, meaning something,
Yeah.
and kind of making waves in ways. Did you change record labels after that? Did you get on more shows? Like, how did that how did that
No,
affect?
I think we were like the highest rated record to not get a label. So it's kind of the story of my career, but I ended up self-releasing that and the following record. And then, yeah, they were important then. It was wild how, like, because now I don't know the meaning. I think it's good people are still spreading the word, but I don't think the meaning of press has the weight that it used to.
It's
Like it
it's two
yeah.
knuckleheads talking in their basements about.
But this is great.
This is press. Yeah.
I love this format, but there was a time when there was, even getting it right up like in a local
Oh, sure. Yeah.
weekly could really help your show. And now it's just like the world has become decentralized so much that I don't know what I have, after releasing a record in 2024, I'm not sure I'm going to do the dance anymore. I'm going to try and figure out something different, how to put out music, but
It's a fun. So you've self-released all of these records. All the Strand of Oaks records have been on your own label.
No, I signed to Dead Oceans in 2000 for Heel, and then I was on them for a while, and then just a series of other labels. Then there'll probably be more labels, or maybe my own. Who knows? When you're like 10 records in, it's just kind of like, okay, like whoever needs to put it out is fine, just as long as it gets out there.
Well, but it's that question too, right? I found myself asking this, and others ask it as well. It's like, what does it even mean to put out a record in 2024? Like, is there physical records exist? Some people buy them, but the majority of people interact with music. Like, and I'm guilty of it as well. I can't hold myself up as some kind of guru of physical media. I have a lot of records, but the amount I've bought in the last 10 years has been way down from what that would have been anyways. And it's hard to know if it's just age. I'm a dad, of two kids, and and we're just mostly just streaming weird kid songs about poop and dragons. And,
I love it. I
think my playlist looks like a crazy 4-year-old listening to it, and that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I truly, like, I'm swimming in the existential right now of what, because I put out, it's strange, as I get older, I put a lot more care and conceptualization into my records, and it's like a strange scale balanced off where, like, I think like, and whatever the music industry is now, I feel like it's like a bridge you drive over, and that bridge has been driven over for so many years, like the infrastructure is falling apart, but they're still having cars drive over the bridge. And it's like, it'll stay up. Don't worry. Don't worry. There won't be anything wrong here. But it's, especially after this last record cycle, I'm very blessed to have a really devoted fan base and people that are psyched. And I think that's, you know, I don't have a solution. I think I'm going to spend the next 6 months kind of licking my wounds and trying to figure out what is this, you know, because the creation of anything is the most beautiful, one of the most, it's like true magic that exists in this world. Like, and whatever you do, whether it's baking an amazing pie or dancing or making records or acting, you know, it's a creation is the thing that turns me on. The thing that has brought me the most grief and stress and like just broken me kind of a little bit as a person is the meat grinder of what a release means, of just like, okay, well, this is, I guess, you know, like you have to, as an artist, accept the fact that your work is no longer yours, which is already, for me at least, kind of difficult. But then to then put it through this system that I don't even know what it, like I'm having this problem now of like a year ago, I spent 3 years on this record I just made, and it was like kind of my life's work. And a year ago, I had this inclination of just putting it up on Dropbox and just being like, here, this record is. Like I made it as like a album that was meant to be like a service. Like I ideally made a record that was hoping to promote peacefulness and mindfulness. And I've recently tried to find a lot more balance in my life. And I had these songs that meant a lot to that. And it felt from the beginning weird to put them through the system of the, like you said, like I think it's good. It's on streaming. Streaming obviously has its issues, but I think it's a miracle that if a kid's lonely and lost in a small town and they could stumble upon like a Smokey Robinson song or something in 2024, like that's great. I think access to art is yeah, miraculous, but the way that it's the story that still keeps being told of how you're supposed to release art is doesn't seem to be working anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel you. I mean, I feel like I'm in the same boat in a lot of ways, and I've at least definitely have done a lot of head scratching and haven't come up with any answers. I don't think anybody really has. You know, the
No.
closest thing I can figure is it's all about managing expectations with like anything in life, right? You know what I mean? And so, in
Yeah.
whatever version of whatever success looks like or feels like in your world, you know, you just kind of make that aperture really small and go, hey, here's a few things I need to have happen. You know, do the record and awesome. But that's box number one. That's the only box you really need. Like, it got done. We made a record I'm proud of. And then you just incrementally go wider from there, but just try to keep it as possible. I think that's the only way to really find that sort of peace with being an artist and of any sort, you know, and especially in this time, because it's just yeah, I mean, the best I can tell is, you know, that every generation reinvents its distribution system, as cold as that sounds.
True.
You know, I think it's in a way that's not, the music is so, it's so personal in a way where an audience finds it, and it defines like the content of their soul. You know what I mean? At least that's, you know, there's a band that just, you know, it's like they're the flashlight that allows you to see the contours of what it is that's inside of you. And so because of that, I think because of that personal connection, I think every generation just really needs to own it. And I think what happens is there's obviously, you know, a lot of money to be made in something that's so passionate, or could be made off of that. And so it's constantly being reinvented, and new gates pop up where there were no gates before, or you move the goal line here, there, every which way. And I think it's always sold to the next generation as in, this is yours, you know, you're the Pepsi generation, the choice of your thing, this defines you. And you're like, it's the same thing with a different sweater on. You just put a hat on the thing that was the thing before. And You know,
Yep.
in the same way that you want to sell, if they sold, CDs to everybody who had the record collection. Now you need it on CD, which seems so comical, in hindsight. But I think we're just going, it's the whole thing. Like,
Yep.
all of this non-physical stuff is just leaving open a path for, whatever generation comes along. Is like, what about, did you know you can have records on physical objects? Like, yes, we were,
Yeah.
that's it. But, styles come and go, and the wave is what it is. So I think we're in a funny
Yep.
spot right now of unphysicalized things. But I'm sure it's just a matter of time. If there's something to be sold, if there's money to be made out there, somebody's going to make it.
Someone will find a way inevitably.
It'll come back around. Yeah. So I think it's that kind of thing too. Just keeping your head down as an artist and just keep plowing through. That's, at least that's what I'm doing
Yeah.
myself. That's the best I can make sense,
Yeah.
you know. But who knows? To be determined, right? I think it's that thing, like you say, it's like the content of the art, the
Yep.
meaning of the art is really what matters.
Yeah. And I think people that, yeah, I just think it's like my motto recently is efficiency. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
like efficiency and like living. And I think part of my efficiency path is to find the things that I know that don't work, but I continue to do, even knowingly that they're going to either provide me stress without benefit, or, and I think it's like finding the most efficient path between making something and how to present, how to like share that. And I think the efficiency was the most frustrating part of this past. It's because it's like, the thing is, I talk to my friends now, you put out a record now and it literally disappears within 24 hours into the ether of noise. So I'm just like, and that's fine, but I have to figure out a way to efficiently navigate that, and whatever and yeah, or just continue the hyphens. I don't know what the next hyphen's going to be. I think hyphens is a great motto too, of like, what hyphen do I want to add with the time left on this earth? I'd like to write a book. I'd like to do a lot of stuff. And, it's the idea, or we could go the Ram Dass approach and remove the hyphens and remove any sense of identity and just melt into the everything, which is the ultimate goal, to unhyphenate.
or to be only, there is only hyphens left. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
There is no content. It is all just hyphens.
There's nothing in between. It's just the hyphens. Yeah.
We're just
Beautiful.
the division of space. I am no
Yeah.
one person. I am only the multitudes.
Exactly. I've been there.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I want to talk more about efficiency, but I think that was one thing, and it sounds like we come from similar backgrounds, but in the early DIY days of stuff, it was really just about keeping small and lean, because then you didn't need much to get by, early on, I had an apartment in Hollywood that I shared with my bandmate, and it was $500 a month. So we each had to come up with $250, and then we used 2 or 3 other guys crash in there too. They would kick in $100, and sleep on the couch, or sleep on. We eventually got bunk beds and figured it out how to do it to where we could just, and then you'd sublease when you went out on tour. If you're going to be gone for a month and somebody kicks into $100 and tries to not destroy all your stuff.
Yeah. I think my first apartment I got was $175 for a studio. And when I was looking at it, the landlord was like, "There's a futon in here. Do you want that?" And I was like, "Sounds good to me. There's my there's my furniture. Comes with the futon."
Furnished? Yeah, it's perfect. Also
yeah,
I would bed bugs and lice, but those
that's fine. I mean, it was it was a studio apartment. The weird thing was, it was a room about the size I'm in now, but it had like 14-foot ceilings. So it felt like it was very psychologically disturbing to be in this in this tower and this tiny room just with these cavernous ceilings. And there was it was in a renovated old house in Wilkes-Barre. And but yeah, that cost allowed me to really save money. Even if I worked at, before I was a teacher, I'd have daycare jobs and did a bunch of work. And yeah, we were able to, but yeah, I think that's something that there's a weird myth that was, I just learned what the term gaslighting means. And I feel like the gaslighting term for me that was given for years was you got to spend money to make money. And
Yeah.
I followed that crazy advice because it was probably my money that I was being told to spend. And once I kind of broke out of that cycle.
Oh, 1 sec. Yep. Hey, it's recording. Yeah, you're good. Okay. All right. My mom's just coming in to help with the kiddos. Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But to spend money, yeah, people love to tell you to spend your own money. They never want to tell you to spend their money. But
Yeah, they're going on vacations on Instagram, and then you're
yeah,
sitting in a hotel room somewhere losing thousands. But I think it's like you take, I mean, the funny thing was like financially for me, the best I ever did was when the pandemic happened and I didn't tour. And then I realized like, oh, touring has actually been removing all of my income. All like, because people are always like, oh, but you see these articles like, yeah, but bands make most of their money on the road. I mean, maybe,
if you don't
maybe.
spend any money on the road, you can make
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Yeah, the efficiency idea. I was just thinking as you were talking about it. It's like even now, at my point in my age, I loved having a big back line. Like a big,
Oh yeah.
full stack of amps and all this stuff, and I loved it. And I did it, and I carried it around, and I broke my back. Carrying cabs up and down stairs and flight cases and playing as loud as I could. And then it got to a point where it didn't really make sense for what we were doing, and it was just too loud. I was always being told to turn down, and at some point it was just like, I'm the only one that I'm doing this because this makes me happy. The whole point of like,
Yeah.
driving for 8 hours and setting up and doing the whole thing is like, but I get to play loud guitar. That's the whole,
Yeah.
I had to really be honest with myself. I was like, I love playing loud guitar. This is great. This is why I do all this stuff. Like, and then there was those nights when then I'd have to turn down. Like, why was I so pissed? Or what was is this all just ego? Just run rampant? And I had to be honest about it. I was like, well, no, that was the release I got. Like, if I had to do all this hard work and then went and played quiet guitar for an hour a night, like,
Yeah.
bullshit. I wouldn't want to do
Yeah.
that. That's a fucking time.
Yeah.
But then I had to kind of do some internal sort of work and go, well, all of this, I'm the only one who's happy about this. Nobody else in the band is happy. Nobody else in the audience is really happy. No one that works at the club is happy about this. So the only factor that's continuing this actions, the only reason I'm continuing this actions is for my own happiness. So can I redefine what it is the parameters are that make me happy, and
Yep.
to something that suits everything else, so that's more realistic and fits within the parameters of what I'm trying to get done here, whether that's time management, money management, relationship management. So like, what do I need to be happy here, or what is that? What can I redefine that sort of definition of what my expectations are for a show or for any
Yeah.
of these things, and then now I have these tiny little practice amps that I stack on top of each other and use one of those ratchet straps on there and just put them right
Yep.
next to my ears and blast the hell out of them. Like, this works for me. It's loud enough for me.
Yep.
I still get that sort of deafening sensation of playing guitar, but it's far, far quieter in the room, and
Yeah.
everybody seems to be happy or not notice at all. And to me,
Front of house is probably happy. They're probably a lot. I mean, I had a friend once years ago, because I think what you're saying is a really like important life lesson that comes with age. And I think, I don't know about you, but I think my stuff was like, what I had first thought was like protecting my vision and protecting this thing that I was doing was actually me holding on so tightly, and which could be seen as ego based, of like, I have to hold on to this vision. I have to hold on to my guitar tone and my what, like the whatever, like it's all of these things that we're gripped with. And what kind of came for me is like the slow process I've been on in a few years of like kind of melting down the sense of me and my ego is the unnecessary burdens that we put on ourselves constantly. And especially as an artist, you put all of these things and you think every ingredient is what makes the final recipe, so that, the ingredient of having the proper amp or having my buddy once said that nobody in the back of the room knows if it's a $50 delay pedal or the $2,000 delay pedal. Like, nobody knows. It's fine. And, I think dismantling those like burdens of like control And if the more in my life that I've loosened them, I think I've disappointed a lot of people because I just don't like I don't feel the need to meet expectations any longer, because you realize like what a lot of times with music, I don't, you've probably heard this a lot, but if you don't do this, it all goes away. Or if this doesn't happen.
Fuck that.
And,
Yeah.
fear is the greatest motivator oftentimes. And, fear is a sense of control. And then all of those things that I was afraid of, because I was afraid of not getting here or doing this or achieving whatever. And then like if you switch your decisions from fear-based to love-based, then I found myself making, not all the time, but I found myself making better decisions, both as like a career, financially, and most importantly, creatively, when I was like loving myself in the sense of like what is good for just what I've made and for me as a person or the people I work with, or, my wife, and love-based decision making is a powerful tool that I still don't follow. Like I made a few fear-based decisions on this new record I put out, and I'm going to have to just come to terms with those decisions. But, if you start rationing out, which ones am I afraid of, which ones, and I'm still saying yes to, or still saying, anyways,
Yeah.
it's a long theory of self-analyzing.
Yeah, yeah. That's part of the benefit that comes with all of this stuff too. Is at the end of
Yeah,
you get to the sweet sticky core of whatever it is it's you, and you're like, ah, it doesn't matter. None of it
for
really.
sure.
It's great, cool. All right, well, this Zoom is telling me that we are about to run out of runway here, but I want to make sure we plug everything. Where do people follow you? Where do they find you? Can they find the record? Give me all the handles you want people to chase you down with.
Just go to Google and find Strand of Oaks, and it's all on there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you're doing some dates. You're out on the road. Tell me
a
some of the.
few
Yeah.
a few dates, not many. I think my capacity to do those is, I'm going to do a few, but
Okay.
I think then I'm going to go disappear into my creative cave for a while.
Beautiful for the next record. And
Yeah.
and any more Mayans? I don't. Did your character get shot? I don't
The
know.
show ended.
The show ended. Oh, okay. So
The
the whole
show
film was
ended
shot. Yeah.
2 years ago, and then there might be stuff coming, but I just am kind of throwing my, when it comes to acting, that's just like, that lives in the world of miraculous events. So I'm not like, I'm not like trying out for the toothpaste commercial, but if there's like if something else comes up, I will drop everything I'm doing to do so, because it was very fun.
Amazing, amazing. Oh man. Well, Tim, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet you. I think I'm going to see you
Thank you.
next time you're in LA. I'm gonna come see you.
Very cool.
Yeah, yeah. This has really been a pleasure. I was also told before we go, that you were a fan. You're a bit of a nerd for Star Wars and Disneyland as well. I think our friends at Bothering the Band said that.
Oh yeah. I straight up go to Disneyland probably 3 times a year, my wife and and I didn't go until I was my 40th birthday party, and I went there with my friend who I make records with and our partners, and just I was walking around Fantasyland. I was like, I understand all of this. It's I'll actually be going there in August again. So we try and do the times where other people aren't there. So like we go in like January, August, and then maybe well, December's Christmas time, so that gets super nuts. So
Yeah,
we'll have to figure that
the
out.
times when it's light there have become smaller. Smaller.
Smaller.
Yeah, because we went on a random Tuesday in November, which was always a good sort of
Yes.
trick. Packed, and it was raining. I was like, well, it's okay, it's rain, so it'll be a lighter day. Not so. We waited
Packed.
2 hours in line for the Matterhorn in pouring rain. My 10-year-old son and I, we did it all together, and then we got on the ride. We had the umbrellas in the line, and once we got on the ride, it's there's no covering on. You were just outside, and we're just being. It's like having someone turn the shower head on over us while we're sitting in the car about to take off on this roller coaster, and then and then the raindrops are just like stinging you in the face. It's like little like just hitting you all over the face, and I just started laughing out of just the sheer like just terribleness of it all. Like, it was so much fun.
Man.
Also, you just have to laugh. You find yourself in those moments like now, just completely drenched. Literally, someone standing under a waterfall, and then they start flinging raindrops.
Oh, it's the best. I mean, we should have done this whole thing on Disneyland. I would have. And a trick for the future is I love to dig into the nuance of things, but in the Matterhorn, if you do the Tomorrowland side versus it's like if you go to the left part of the line or the right, the left part's shorter, but that's the rough.
Yes,
that's the wild side. Yeah, the left side is we always go left side. And also, I think the greatest experience in Disneyland is if you can be behind the wheel at Indiana Jones.
Oh gosh,
you could sit in the front seat and and my wife always gets that, but I have done more research. I got so deep into Disney. I've got my Space Mountain medallion right here. I've had a lot of adventures in my life, and I think the final adventure is just enjoying myself at Disneyland for the rest of my people always think I'm joking with them. If they look at me, I'm like, no, I absolutely love Disneyland. The magic that my wife and I feel there is unmatched.
And you said you didn't go until you were 40. That was the first time you
never had been. Wow. Yeah, I just no. Wow. I went to like Indiana Beach was a theme park. So, but yeah, my wife had been as a kid to Disney World and she had loved it, but I just, some musician friends of mine in Los Angeles go there a lot, and they kind of appreciate the ephemeral magic of the park, like what Walt's vision was. And they kind of initiated me into that, that club. But yeah.
I don't know if you listen to many podcasts or if that's part of your media consumption, but I could recommend two that are Disney centered. There's a Podcast The Ride.
Okay.
It's like three improvisational, comedians, and they kind of have a humorous take on, it's some history, but it's more just, laughing about the rides and laughing about different things. Hilarious. And then the other one is the Disney Dish with Len Testa.
Ooh.
So that's by Jim Hill, who's been covering theme park news since the 70s. He is he's an encyclopedic knowledge of all things Disney and all things theme parks. And Len Testa is a statistician that used to work for American Express, who then went out on his own and created his own thing called oh my God, why am I spacing on it now? He wrote the unofficial guide to Disney World, and he has a travel agency now. And what they do is he has people in the parks counting how many people go in. He runs the stats for all the parks,
that's amazing.
Times everything. So you have a statistician and a historical theme park journalist who every Monday, have a little like news nugget, how they go in depth features. They just finished their 4-part series into the fireworks, the history of the fireworks at Disney parks.
Wow.
Disney Dish with Len Testa.
Oh man, I wish this Zoom wasn't wrapping up. I could go another 40 minutes on Diz.
Yeah, well, we'll have to do it again.
For sure.
All right. Well, Tim, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Everybody go out there, find the Strand of Oaks. Their music's up there. Buy it. Spend all your money. Go see them live. You will not regret it. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, thanks. Yes, there he is. Tim Showalter, Strand of Oaks. Thank you so much for jumping on Hyphenate with me. I greatly appreciate it. Everybody go look up strandofoaks.net. That's the website. He's got Instagrams. He's got all the things. You like the things? Go listen to him. He's on the streamers. He's on, what else is he on? All the other places you go. YouTube. Probably find him on YouTube. Yeah. Oh, there you go. You got music videos. You got all the things. He's on the Spotifys. He's on the Apples. He's on the Wikipedia, for God's sake. The guy's got a Wikipedia page. He's got a Facebook, got an Instagram, got a YouTube. Just Google Strand of Oaks. Like he said, everything's up there. Strand of Oaks. Tim Showalter, Prince of a Man. I appreciate it. Hope everybody's doing well. I will be back on Monday to discuss with Aaron Farley what's going on in his life. What is new? What's the latest and the greatest? Hope you have a good weekend. Stay safe, stay sane. Go buy more shoes for your kids if your kids need shoes. And, just take it easy.
The creation of anything is the most beautiful. one of the most, it's like true magic that exists in this world. Like, and whatever you do,